and welcome along and welcome back to Stone Valley. Today we're headed down to the shop. We're going down in our John Deere because I want to put it to a little bit of work. We have some contracts to get done. You can see up in the top right we've got contracts on fields 10, 14 and 12. So we're all roughly in the same sort of area, and the type of contracts are this. We are going to be doing some weeding. Now, I have got the contract equipment here. The contractors have given me a Fent 716 Vario to use with a front weight. We're going to ignore both of those. I've decided that I want to use my own tractor. You know, it's sitting there on the farm, and it would be annoying not to have it. Having a weeder might be a good idea. It's a fairly inexpensive piece of kit. And would do us fairly well. Let's have a look at these three fields then. So we are weeding fields 10, field 12, and field 14. So 14 is there, and field 12 has got to be somewhere in between those two. The field numberings on here can be a little bit odd sometimes. Oh, there it is. So it's down here. We've got 12, 14, and 10. So some fairly big ones. Our rental comes from the cost for field 14, which is the lowest cost one, as we normally go for. But it should do us fairly well even on these larger fields. We don't have GPS on this tractor. I do want to get that installed on here at some point, because if we're going to be doing some contracting work with this tractor, it's probably fairly useful to have it on here. At the moment, though, it's not really necessary. We can hopefully get the most of this job done without too much hassle. So question now is that we've got the cows set up, we've got our farm all done. What is going to be our next stage here on Stone Valley? And I think the thing we're looking to do next is going to be to sort ourselves out as far as some land goes. Grass is few and far between on here, and we're going to be needing to get grass work. Or at least some hay bales in. So at the moment we're going to have to buy hay bales. It's a little bit expensive. My thought is probably that we're going to be doing hay for the... or going to be doing grass work for hay for our cows. But the actual silage, I think a better way to go is probably to set up ourselves with a nice large area of corn and do a farm on here that is mainly corn based. So having ourselves a nice big forage harvester, a nice big forage trailer, and going with that, and a seeder that will allow us to do that. I know there are farms in the UK that are just purely corn most of the time. Maize most of the time, doing exactly this kind of thing. So, yeah, that I think is going to be the best way for us to go. We could then get ourselves some BGA set up and make some extra money from it that way beyond what we do. I'm also thinking of having a standing silo, so a fermenting silo, rather than doing any kind of silage clamp and doing it that way. That will save us because it means we won't need a big wheel loader or anything to move the silage about and get it clamped. And instead, we can just put it into our fermenting silo and get that going. Let me know in the comments what you think to that. I think that is probably a good way for us to go. But as always, I like to have your feedback on these things. This is a pretty good setup. I think it might be worth us getting a weeder. They're not that expensive, as I said, and we can run it with this tractor without too much trouble, especially if we get it into the right gear. But yeah, that has done fairly well. I might just go up this headland actually and clear this out and make it a little bit easier for us to turn around and sort these odd shapes that we've got. In fact, field 12 goes beyond this waterway, so this field's going to have to be done in 2 halves. Very difficult on these fields to tell how good our actual progress is, but we're a good way down this side of the field. This field is huge. Like most fields on here, it's absolutely massive. But we are piling through it. It's saying 6% at this point, but I don't know how accurate that is. But I wanted to get back and concentrate on what we're looking to do. So let's put this on to cruise control so it'll keep going. So I can show you the field that I'm targeting next, and that would be field 5 over here. So this is 409,584, and it's kind of split into 3 fields already. You've got this little area here, which would be a great grass field for us, as well as that little area there. And then you've got 2 usable sized fields there. So that's probably our best target. Next to that, there are a few other options. Field 26 would be a good target. That is 258,000. Field 22 would be a very good target at 233,000. And then there's a few little satellite fields around. So 30 at 80,000, 29 at 87,000, and 25, which has a house on it, which is a really good yield at 173,000. So there are a few options that we have that we can try out and see which fits us best. But I think ultimately field 5 is where we're going to be wanting to target on this map in order to expand our farm. Eventually looking to get all those really nice large fields around us as we grow the farm up. This is by far the biggest field that we're attempting today, and this is the larger part of it as well. We are coming up to the end of the headland area, and so probably the best indicator of how far around it we are. And yeah, it's 8%. I don't trust that. I don't trust that at all. So what I'm going to do now is just keep going, and let's have a look over here. Yeah, it's to do that much around the field. I could be 8%. But yeah, you can see that this is the larger part of this. This is, well, this is about the same size as field 10. This is 1.9 million, so nearly 2 million. Field 10 is 1.8. So yeah, this is marginally bigger area for us to work. I think the land might be worth, well, this is something I've worked out, or that I've noticed, is that land value is 62,707 per hectare and 66. So actually this is slightly more expensive. So it's in fact 27.62 versus 31. Yeah, this is the bigger field. So this is why it's going to take us a little longer. But that's okay. We're going to make a good 15,000 off this. So knowing where we want to target next and where we want to spend our next money, what we really need to do is work out in the yards that we've got where how to make the most of the yard that we've got, in fact. So we've got a few areas that could possibly be turned into grassy areas, allow us to at least get some hay going initially, maybe a little bit of silage, maybe hire a bale wrapper and get a few silage bales going initially and build stuff up that way. And this is also part of the reason why I want to use a fermenting silo rather than a silage clamp. Because if we use a fermenting silo, the footprint of it for the amount of silage we can create is a lot smaller. And as a result, gives us much more of our land that we can play with. And so, yeah, that's why I'm looking at that and why I think that would be the better way to go. Right, let's switch that over, get ourselves lined up. And away we go again. Yeah, this is nice thing about this is it's a nice, easy thing to get lined up. And allows me to think about where we're going and what we're doing like this. So, as I was saying, we are looking to get the fermenting silo so that we can reduce the footprint of our actual fermenting area. And then we'll be able to load up our feeding wagon a lot more easily. And at the same time, we'll also be able to create some grassy areas around our farm. Now, where our storage for our bales exists at the moment, I think that can probably be moved. We're looking at probably storing fewer bales than that shed can take. So, yeah, let's get a slightly smaller bale shed and make sure that we can use the area where the existing one is a bit better. We've got some woodland and some concrete, or a concrete area where the workshop previously stood, sitting down the bottom. We can probably get that all turned into grass, and if we cut that 3-4 times a year, that is going to make us more than enough hay bales, especially initially, for us to get started. We've made some decent progress into this field now, and I probably reckon we're about a third of the way through. It's telling me that we're 27%. But if we have a look at the overall map and bring this up, you can see we're about halfway through this top section of the field. And maybe just slightly over halfway through this larger section of the field. And I would have said that, yeah, maybe just under. So maybe that is right. Maybe 27% is fairly accurate. I very much think we're probably not going to make it through this field today, though, because it is 3:05 in the afternoon, and despite this being the largest width of weeder you can get in the game that will run on a tractor like this, I mean, if we go and have a look in here and look at our weeders, the choices below this, the Nbock Pneumatic Star Pro 1200. So that's a 12 meter, requires 170 horsepower. This one is a 15.2 meter that requires 150 horsepower. And then you get the huge Borgolt, which has come in as a mod, and that's 350 horsepower for not a huge amount more, but it does go up to 27 meters. So there's a little bit of disparity. This did come from the smallest contract and just tells you how much goes into that. In fact, this was given to us for pretty much every contract I looked at from these three. I think the only one that didn't was maybe Field 10, which offered me a smaller weeder than this. So these are meant to take time. And there's not much option beyond this. I am very tempted to get one of these weeders myself, or lease one. It would be about 3,000 and would negate the cost overall of the contract we have on Field 14. So I'm very wary of doing that. I think what we might do, we have that fence sitting down the shop. I think that beyond today, to get these other two contracts done, we will probably get that fence going with courseplay on the other two fields, and maybe finishing off this one. If we can get the main body of this one done today, I think we might get the fence on this weeder next time, and get that working on the rest of the jobs. Certainly, I'm looking at the amount of value to these. So let's turn the details on. Yeah, estimated time for field 12 is 2.5 hours. I don't think it's going to take that long. But yeah, both 12 and 10 are estimated at that. Whereas field 14 is estimated like half an hour. Looking at the others, with lots of fertilizing contracts, and I didn't want to go back to those today. I don't really want to go back to those until I've got myself my own fertilizer spreader, really. And the other one is cultivating, and if that's still around next time, we might take that one on. First, though, we are going to have to complete the contract in this field, and with 30% of it done, I'm just hoping I can clear this off today. That would be really helpful to me as far as getting a nice little bit of cash in and getting progress moving, because that's what we want to make sure we do now, is make sure that we keep progressing, keep expanding our farm. And yeah, next time I want to have a good look and see exactly where and how we might be able to do that. On reflection, I'm not really sure these weeding contracts are worth it. To get the equipment costs half the price that you get paid for the contract. So you're gonna spend on a 15,000 contract. You're gonna spend at least 7 just leasing the equipment, which is a little bit crazy. In fact, I'd probably suggest for the larger ones that you end up directly leasing the actual weeder if you already have a tractor that can run it, simply because it's cheaper than you're going to pay for hiring equipment for the lease itself, and that includes, you know, running it for a couple hours. I think it would be, well, let's just have a look. If I was to lease this weeder here, this would cost me 2,295 to initially lease it, and then for a work hour, around about an extra 1,000 on top. So call it 3,500. Less than 3,500. Now, to lease this piece of equipment to do field 10 as part of it would cost me 7 grand. So it's cheaper to use my own tractor, lease this equipment, and run the contract that way on one this sort of size than it would be to go and directly you know, to lease it, to go and directly lease it rather than part of the contract. So yeah, that's definitely seems to be the way to go with weeding contracts. The other thing is, in the time it's taking me to do this contract, I can do 2-3 fertilizing contracts that will pay more money and will end up with me being better off overall, and that's even taking the cost of the fertilizer into account. If I pop out to here and we have a look at some of these fertilizing contracts, so the price, the estimated time to do it is 18 minutes. Using solid fertilizer, the cost of material is 7,000, and it's a 26,000 contract. Profit per minute, 980. Profit per minute, 120. Dropping on field 10 to 93. It's, yeah. Weeding contracts, just not profitable. The end is in sight for this side of the field, but wow, it's a long old slog to get through it. I don't think this is... Yeah, as I said, I don't think the weeding side of things on contracts is as profitable as I thought it was going to be. I thought we'd probably blast through these fields today and make a whole load of cash, and that has just not been the case. I think we're maybe coming up to halfway through. The indicator says 40%, but it's been a long old day's worth of work to get to this point. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get course play on here. We'll get the other tractor up. We'll get this bit finished and get field 20 finished. Or field 12, sorry, finished before next time. And that way we can just set course play off running on the other two. In fact, I'm very tempted to just get rid of the other two and keep cracking on with stuff that is more profitable. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm intrigued, but certainly to me, this type of contract I don't think is going to progress us very fast on that map. We do have Harvest coming up soon, which I'm really looking forward to. However, I think this is where we're going to leave it today. So all that remains is for me to say thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, drop us a comment, and give it a share. Special thanks to all my patrons and channel members. Your support is invaluable in making these videos and helping the channel to grow. For more from Virtual Farmer, check out the links below, follow on Twitch to watch live, and for more videos, subscribe and ring that bell. I will see you next time. Goodbye.